Hello, I am Quay and I'm honored to be here on this podcast with Miss Emani. Um, how do I accomplish goals? So I have various ways and various phases of accomplishing goals. The current one I'm at now is literally writing things down probably like 3 times. So I have like on my desk when I'm at home, I have sticky notes that, okay, this is what you need to do. For the last 2 months, I've been working on Asana, that project management platform.
Yeah.
It's not from what I do, it's not just me accomplishing goals. It's like me working with like clients and for them accomplish goals, which in return helps me accomplish my goals. And also me, okay, you're not just a manager, you're Quay also, and you have your own goals. So like creating my own board within Asana. And I've been struggling with that a little bit because it's like, I've been, doing everyone else's. But I've made a note for the last 2 weeks to be more intentional. So I'm doing better at it of accomplishing my goals on Asana. And then I have like my planner and writing things out, because some days, to be honest, some days I don't get to accomplish like some goals that I set for the day, but I know I have the week to accomplish some of them. And so I'm like, I keep repetitively writing it down each day that I like. If I forgot the last day, I'm going to write it down the next day and squeeze it in there until I get it. And to be honest, some things I feel like 90% of the time each week, one goal isn't accomplished out of the rest. But most of them are accomplished because I'm like anal about it. I'm being more intentional. I understand like I have to see things repetitively because I will overwork myself or overlook things. So writing things down repetitively. I have 2 whiteboards in my house. I have a things to do board by my refrigerator and I have one in my room. So it's like, I just have to keep seeing it written and then just applying intent, knowing I need to get this done because this isn't just one little goal. It's an extension to something else. It's like a sub goal to something else. So reminding myself, like, it's not just about, oh yeah, get this one thing done. It's like, if you don't get this done, you are going to have spillage, obviously, over days or weeks, and it's going to affect a larger goal.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like my way of goal setting is just like you said, I need to write it down. If I don't write it down, I feel like it just disappears into the vastness of space. I really feel that way. Whether it's me keeping my journal with me every day, all day, which is like, every bag it doesn't fit in. It's not the reality, and then it's like making sure certain things transfer over to like my Google Calendar or my Apple Calendar, whatever calendar that one is. Especially because like I'm the type of person, I'm literally out of sight, out of mind. So if something's not in front of my face, I will 1,000% forget it. That's why I tell like friends, family, staff, like to remind me, because I will literally forget. And it's not like I'm choosing to forget or something doesn't matter to me. It's just that there's so much going on in a day, in a week, in a month that this task might get forgotten about while I'm trying to accomplish what I want to accomplish, which is growing the company. Running it, because that's like another thing, running the day to day, the week to week, the month to month. And then like just having a personal life, like you said, like, there is that aspect of it as well. And I applaud you for like making yourself your own board. I didn't even think about that. Like, and as you were saying it, I was like, wow, this is something I definitely need to do for myself, because I break down everything. We started using ClickUp because I was actually listening to a podcast and they said that, ClickUp worked for them. Before that, we were using Airtable. It wasn't really, for certain things it's good, but for other things, it just doesn't like make sense, like project management.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I feel like I should create myself a little board too. It almost feels like bad.
Doesn't it? But it's like, what? Why do I feel bad for trying to prioritize myself and have a personal life, instead of being sunk, like, freaking swallowed by business, you know, you got to have your personal board, like, because there's so many other things like that I want to accomplish personally, like with me being an author, with me wanting to be a business, like going deeper into further into business owner, like actual business owner. Like, yes, New Idols, I'm a manager, it's a business, but like the e-commerce and stuff, I'm like, I can't even think about those things because I don't see them on the board or whatever. And it's just week by week, it just keeps getting pushed back and back and back. And it's like, no, you have your own life too, you know, outside of this is the piece of this is the title. Like, what about you? Yeah. So I'm like, this year even more, like last year was like, okay, it is about me, like everybody stop for a second, you know. And now I'm like, okay, wait, now Quay, you need to convince yourself it's about you. So that's the thing that I'm in, like, okay, you're gonna keep working with people and aside from people, what about your own accomplishments, like your own personal accomplishments that's gonna make you feel good, it's gonna fuel you, you know, get you further to where you want to be. So make that bold.
Yeah. So you spoke about earlier how sometimes you go a week and that one goal is not accomplished. I don't think that's bad. You know, I go through some weeks where it's like maybe 3, 4, 5, because I have the tendency to write long lists of goals or to-do lists, and sometimes it's not feasible. But how do you feel when that 1 or 2 goal is not, or doesn't happen? Like, how do you feel about that?
Okay, so right now I will say I am on a second week of one goal that I did not accomplish. Like, this is week 2, we're almost hitting week 3, and I literally feel so bad. Because it's for a client also. And it's a new client. And granted, it's not something within like my contract of responsibilities. It's like an extra add-on. And so I think part of my brain is like, this is an add-on, you know, so it's not crazy. But then the other part of my brain, just me being like, but I agreed, you know, to do this, and I'm 2 weeks behind. I feel so bad, and it's like, but I'm still like prioritizing, you know, certain things. Like, I'm still gonna go to the gym. I still, you know, flow of the day. It's not like I'm intentionally neglecting it. It's just like there is something that came before it that has a lot of different pieces to it. And, you know, I'm literally handling. I'm not like idling around doing nothing. Like, I'm actually doing, you know, and I feel so bad. So like after this call, after I eat, I'm really going to lock in on that and push everything else behind. Like, I had that intention. I was like, no, because it makes me feel a little insufficient, I guess, or insufficient, like, because it's like I said, it's something I agreed to. And it's like, and what I also learned from it is like, okay, so why did it take, first I've been like, why is it taking me so long to do this task? It's like, 1, it is a tedious task. 2, it's also something that I know how to do, but I don't enjoy doing either. And
I get
3,
that.
Yeah, when I complete this task, I'm going to need to communicate to this person, this is something that I will never do again, because I can't do it, because it's not something that I feel like I should use my time to do. We have to pass it over to someone else for the future. So that's how I felt. Those are the 3 phases. Like, I feel a little guilty, and then I also feel a little like, okay, but this is not something that you really should be doing. Furthermore, you're going to do it, and then you're going to communicate like why it took so long and like how to prevent.
So it seems like you had like a conversation with yourself about it. It seems like you had a conversation with yourself about it. And during that conversation and the realization that you came to, how are you speaking to yourself? How did you work through that? Because it sounds like, you know, it took steps to get there. It definitely sounds like it took steps to get there. So when you get to that realization, like, how did you get there?
Okay, so literally, I beat myself up. My dad was like, wait, what? Like, you know, I was definitely cussing myself out in my head. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I'm like, damn, it's a week. Like, and I'm like, so when I was at home, I was sitting home, I'm like, because I was doing it, and then I'm like, damn, I have something else I need to do. I have to stop it. So I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm dead, was cussing myself out in my head. So I was hard on myself. And then the days go by, and I forgot for 3 days about that specific task because the other things. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, okay. And I got to that phase of, okay, why is this taking me so long? Okay, because I don't really like doing this. I know how to do it, but it's not a good use of my time personally. And I'm dragging it out part of it is because I know I don't really want to do this. And other part is I just don't have the time to do it. But then again, the other part of me was like, you do have time. You just need to make time. Like, you know, so I had to self-talk. I was hard on myself and I started to negotiate with myself. And then I started to like, okay, like, no, it's what it is. You're already late. Like, just get it complete by mark 2-week mark, you know, which is tomorrow, but I'm going to do it today. So I went through all those phases of self-talk of like being hard on myself, negotiating with myself, and then like understanding like, this is why I'm right here right now.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel that way too. Sometimes when I'm like working on a project or I have a deadline about something, if it's not something that I prefer to do, I'll kind of like, you know, drag it out. Especially, I feel like especially when you know it's a task that takes like 2 seconds to do, it's like, oh, but I'll just do it. It takes 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds. And then 2 seconds turns to 2 weeks.
I'm like, definitely like 75% done. Like I did the hard part, but I'm like, damn, why you can't just add the 2 more slides? It's a day.
Oh, yeah. I get it. It's like when you have that thing that takes 2 seconds, it takes 2 weeks to do because you're like, but it takes 2 seconds. Like,
And I'm using some of the clients because they have a piece to it to contribute also. So it's kind of like me knowing you still didn't send me what I need from that. You know, it's kind of like I'm matching your energy. So it's not like the best thing, but it's just realistically speaking, that's a part of the equation too. It's like I still need something from them to like make a full circle. So it's like it's continued to be pushed back a little bit. It's like I don't want to, like I said, after this call, it's going to get complete because I just have to.
And that's you speaking your intentions and being positive and just like watching the way that you speak to yourself. I feel like the biggest part in actually accomplishing something is the way that you speak to yourself while you're doing it.
Yes.
The realizations that you come to while you're doing it. You said a few things like, you know, why Quay? Why? you said a few other things, and it was just on the lines of like, what am I doing, girl? Like, get it together. Get it together. What am I doing? And I feel myself talk to myself like that a lot. And then maybe at the end of the week, because I don't accomplish 1 or 2 things or 3 things that's on my goal of probably like 10 or 15, I'll be like, oh my God. Instead of focusing on the things that I did do, the things that went right that week, like, you know, the hills that we went over and the battles that we faced and we came on the other side. Like, I don't give myself that credit. And I feel like it's something that needs to be talked about more. And I feel like you being the type of author that you are currently with the book that you have out now, which thank you. It speaks to it speaks to the way that you talk to yourself, the way that you show up for yourself. And I feel like if you continue to show up for yourself in a way that is positive, and then you can give yourself positive feedback about what you're doing, I feel like it's less of a surprise when somebody else tries to give you that same feedback.
Yes. Let me tell you, where I'm at now in life, and I'm still growing. Like last week, I was telling someone yesterday, last week was a crazy mental week for me. Like everything else was good in life, whatever, but it was something that was just pinging at me and it gave me anxiety. And I'm doing this because I'm just someone who's aware of how I perceive anxiety and, you know, other things that fall under that category. And yes, like it comes, but I'm never claiming I struggle with anxiety. You know, I know the main thing for me is overthinking, and that causes that emotion, that feeling to come. And so every day I'm working at that. So I don't like to claim it, but we'll name it, but I'm not claiming it. But last week, literally 6 days straight, I woke up heart beating fast throughout the day, you know, and I'm doing work and I'm like, and I know exactly what's causing this. And I literally, for the first day or 2, I was just like feeling it, you know, and letting it kind of me a little bit. And then the third day I was like, started speaking to myself. I deserve this, or I am this. Like literally, like this book, it's not just write it and like, yeah, I'm perfect. I'm the affirmation queen. I need it every day. I need it every day. I need affirmations every day. Like just to being the type of person I am, who kind of honestly like doubt sometimes where I'm at right now, or hard on myself saying you need to go harder and further, I need this reality check. Like you said, I need to be able to congratulate myself on how far I've come. I need to be able to reflect on where I was previously and prove to and reaffirm myself that you do deserve this, or you are going in the right direction. So honestly, I'm saying, like, I open my book up and I say those affirmations to myself. I have moments where I'm not like affirmed, like I'm not sure about it, and I have to keep saying it. And literally, I would play my I have the chakra frequency playlist on like YouTube or Apple Music, and I need those sounds. Like I was telling my sister I have to buy a sound bowl, but I need those sounds.
I have one. My neighbors are so sick of me. My neighbors are so sick.
No, it's so beautiful. Like I'm hearing it on like the instrumental, but I'm like, I need this in my home, like myself. I can do this. I know it'll ground me even further. But that's like a part of my regimen when I'm feeling like overwhelmed or just not sure. Like I have to stop. No music with no words. I need those frequencies, and I have to literally tell myself, like I'm walking around my house cleaning, and I'm saying it. Like no, like I need it every day. Also, like
I do too. Definitely. I feel like with your book, what I like to do is like just like go like this, and then like see what page that my hand lands on, and then like read that and take that for the day. And what I've done on each one is put like a little dot on it if I've like landed on that page before, just to make sure I'm not laying on the same one. But if I did land on the same one, I'm like, oh, okay, I already did this dot. Okay, girl. So do you feel this way about yourself?
Right. Okay.
But I believe that everybody should have that internal conversation with themselves, because it took me a while to realize that, I was complaining one day, and it was like to my mom, and she was like, but the complaints and the things that you have this year are not the same as last year. So look at that growth. You're like, and she's always been somebody who just made sure I talk to myself nicely, or talk about things or situations or scenarios nicely. Like I was telling her, I feel overworked. And she was like, but what do you mean? You should say you are blessed to have this amount of work, but you need some rest in addition to that. Like, so I really feel like the way that you speak to yourself, it really plays an effect on how you feel and how you operate doing a certain task. Like, I started not telling myself this thing will take 2 seconds, so I can do it right now. If I get a thought to do something, like to order something, which is like a big thing for me in like the store and the business in general, like supplies, you run out of supplies so fast. Like I feel like people eat gloves in the store. So like that's something that always needs to be reordered. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, okay, gloves again, gloves. And then I'll forget, because I'm like, oh, it takes 2 seconds. I'll just do it. It takes 2 seconds. But then I'm like, okay, a week later, now we're on our last box of gloves, and we run into the store buying a $24 pack of gloves when we can get like 4 packs for 24. And I'm like, okay, so this is costing us more money. But I could have just did it. And it costs 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds. So yeah, just doing it in the moment and just watching the way that I speak to myself, because it's more important than how other people speak to you, right? Because like you can choose not to speak to somebody again, or choose not to be around them, but you can't choose not to be around yourself.
Right. You wake up and go to bed in your body, so it's the most important person. I believe that. I like to reinforce that, because it's like, yes, I'm spiritual, God first, but it's also me first, because I'm the one who presented myself to God. So it's like, if I am good and sure and know, like, however I'm coming to you is, so I always say God first. I mean, you first, God second, or whoever higher power you, believe in and speak to, and everybody else.
Yeah. I definitely think you should put yourself before your mental health, your physical health, Make sure you're not harming yourself or not giving to yourself so other people can have. Like, I feel like once you're okay and you're stable, I feel like that should be a grounds to helping other people be grounded and stable as well. So that's a part of the reason why I wanted to create this podcast, was to basically speak about things and challenges and just like life lessons that people may have and they want to share. Like, people always ask me, how do I accomplish goals? How do I do this? And it really boils down to the way that I speak to myself. Because if I don't have a good relationship with myself, and I'm not going to have a good relationship with other people. And I realized the better that I treated myself and I talked to myself and I showed up for myself, the better the people I started to attract into my life. You know,
people like to skip over that. No, that's real.
Yeah.
I have so many friends and like associates who are like, I hear them with issues with people, and it's like, I personally don't have issues with people or friends. I can say I had some romantic, intimate relationships, and that, had to come do the self-check, and I understand where all of it, I understand every lack that I had in relationships. I can't speak for the other person, so I understand. But as far as my friends and my family, I really don't have issues.
Yeah, same. Likewise.
Because this is Quay. This is how we're going to treat Quay. And
exactly.
This is how Quay is going to treat you. And there's no weird, blurry line with that. And I personally do not. I'm thankful. Like, I have friendships of 21 years. Like, no, I'm thankful. And so when I hear other friends, they really having these issues, I'm like, okay, what is in you that is, because you're the common denominator in each of these friendships and relationships, right? What's in you that you aren't paying attention to? What can you tighten up, fix up, so that you could present yourself in the best way? And all that other stuff is going to ping off you. Like, it can't even, and so I always try to remind like friends or even like associates that I meet who like just express themselves to me. We have to do that self-check. Like, we can't be thinking about this person, you, what's up with you? Everything else will fall into place when you clear what's up with you. And it's an everyday lesson though. It's like, you're never 100% perfect, but you still could be good.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of those things that you're speaking about, it also, if you are in some type of business for yourself as an entrepreneur, as a contractor, as a freelancer, I feel like those things also creep into your business life as well. Because I can honestly say some of the personal issues that I work through and I am working through, they do affect me in the business sense as well. Like, I'm a very ultra private person. And not that I have anything to hide. I just don't feel like everything needs to be shared, whether it's good or bad. I've learned to not share certain good things because you never know the energy that people might have for it. And if you know that emotionally or mentally you can't handle somebody's commenting on something, I just won't share it, even if it's good. But then that translated into me forgetting to share things for the business. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what the heck? I thought this was like this thing that I only did in personal life, but then it turned into like me doing it for business as well. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, you being real private.
That's true. That's a real one right there.
Or
so how have you kind of you're still working on that now?
I'm still working on that. A part of it, I spoke to Cleo about it, but that's like, I spoke to Cleo about that, and I was talking to her about basically like how it's more of the people that I'm scared about than like, actually showing that I'm happy. Okay. It's more of like the people's response, and just like understanding that with good also comes bad, because like you can have a ton of good, but then there's always going to be somebody who's like, that should be for me.
Yeah.
Or you didn't work for that, or you didn't do that. Yeah. Or you didn't deserve that, or I don't like the way you said this, so you're mean and evil. Like, not understanding that people all just like have their things, or somebody that you just don't give attention to, and it might not even be intentional that you don't give them attention, and then they'll run with that and be like, oh, you don't care about people. And it's like, I can't get to everybody. you
Yeah.
know? And I've been through that on the smaller platform that I do have. So I'm trying to like, sometimes it scares me. I'm like, oh, if it grows, is that gonna grow too? Like,
yeah. It's just reality. Like, it's inevitable. We can never control what people say. We can't control, like, people's emotions and what they want to project. Even if they're happy on the inside, some people just want that reaction and response. Like, I just want to be the devil's advocate. I just want to be on the opposing side, just because, you're never going to be able to avoid it. And that's one thing that I also, like you just said, I think a lot of us kind of think that way. Like we want that success, but we also are aware, like, okay, success is going to bring X, Y, and Z, but it's also going to bring DEF, like, too. It's like, yeah, it's kind of like we could low key, if we don't keep sight of it, it could be a little, we can self-sabotage because we like, I'm gonna just do this much because I know like it's gonna keep me, let's say money coming in and keep me growing, but it's still gonna keep me at a level where I'm not too exposed and visible.
A
reach. Okay. It is scary. It's like, why do we do that? You got to catch yourself, because some people never catch themselves and they stay at that level forever. And it's like, no, like, let's toughen up thicken up our skin, have some emotional management. Woo, girl. We've been 2 years on it, and I'm like, man, we still got some ways to go, but that emotional management, so that whatever comes our way just really pings off. Like, you're human, you're still gonna be able to feel one or two of those, like, damn, but it's like, we got to practice. This person does not make a difference in my life. Their words are words, and yes, words are powerful, but I know who I am. I know what I'm doing this for, and I'm gonna send some praise to that person. And I'm trying to learn how to do that, because, girl, it's hard. It's hard. It's like, what? They said this, like, oh my God, like, there's a little truth to that statement. Like, oh my, like, and it does nothing for us, but makes us waste our time thinking about something that one person that we may never see in this life.
I just like to make people look crazy who say things that don't exist on my behalf. Like, when people come
crazy too.
They do be looking crazy, but I want to make them look even crazy. And I've been working on that, like, because normally I don't address things, because half the time people are wrong or don't even know what the heck they're talking about. So I'm like, be quiet. Like, I'm not even gonna say anything. Even when people wrong me and I say something about them wronging me, I stop after that, because after that, and you acknowledge the fact that you've wronged me, I don't want to hear the but or the reason why. It's you wronged me and this is what happened. That's it. Like, I don't need the but the reason why. I don't need to know what you're going through. I respect you going through something, but you also put me through something as well. So let's not divert the attention from that. But I've been learning to, I've always spoke to my friends about the things that happen behind the scenes, but it's been more of a, don't even act like it even happened at all. Even if it's like on social media, with me saying a response or something, I don't usually respond to things, but it's been a time or two that I've responded to something.
You can't just never respond, like, at least 1 out of 100, I don't know, 1 out of 10, like, I think it's okay. I mean, you can never respond, but I think it's okay. Because I'm like, you can't just like, whatever. You see it all the time in certain people, like, they just don't respond to nothing. And we just be sitting there like, dang, what am I going to say? And then it just goes away, and it's replaced with other news,
I've learned to just have my lawyer respond for me. And just, that's it. Just have my lawyer respond for me, and then that's it. That's the end of the combo. Whether they go on social media and say something or not, that's their business, because usually if my lawyer sent you something, they sent something to stop having the convo.
Yes. And that's what they do. And there's levels to it. You see what you just did. Some people aren't ever going to get to that level of like, my lawyer's going to speak for me. Some people are at the bottom. And I think, and it's like, no offense, but at the bottom line, it's like the ones that like fighting for like, fighting, or like that it's taken so much energy, like, and it's levels to it, you know, and get into that lawyer level because you have a business. You're not just Emani, you're Emani, the businesswoman also, and you have so much more to lose if, you know, you react in a wrong way that puts your stuff in jeopardy. Our reactions, like people, whatever, even if someone brought something up from the past or whatever, it's like, how are you responding to this? You know, today that's a shifting factor, you know. And some people think like you could have did some wild shit in your past, you know, you probably had your reasons in the past, but how you respond to that is going to, like, if you're going to make it past that, you know, this little stain, I'm a little stain, you know, are you going to make it past it? It's up to us. People gonna say talk until the day we die, period. How we responding to them.
It's just also the way that you talk to yourself about a situation. Like, so say for example that, you know, you're trying to accomplish this goal, right? And then somebody comes along and they try to make you feel bad emotionally or mentally or physically or any type of way about what you're doing, or they just comment on something that just leaves you having a bad day. I say a bad day with quotes because I really don't believe in letting one thing determine your whole 24 hours. But how would you talk to yourself through that when somebody's like, it's like the needle in the haystack, that thing that, you know, not the needle in the haystack, what I'm talking about, the straw that broke the camel's back, like that their comment was something that just brought you over the edge that day while you were working so hard accomplishing this thing. How would you basically like talk to yourself?
It's kind of like what I said earlier. So I'm trying to think about that, and this happened like probably 2 months ago, and someone kind of came at the way they projected, and they came at the way that I conducted a situation. You know, I was like being a mediator in it, and they kind of came and attacked me because I feel like they had no more attacks to give, and it's like, this is my last word, bam, and they kind of attacked me, and like I literally, because I've learned to accept constructive criticism, but there was a point where I couldn't, because I know I'm doing as much as I can to never hear this type of constructive criticism. That's kind of how I maneuver through life. And I have to find a balance, because with that, the far end was me defending myself. And I was like to strangers, like, oh, you know, like that was the extreme. And then the other side with me not saying nothing completely off. I'm like neutral. I'm like, okay, so you just said this about me. I already know it's not true. And I genuinely know, and that immediately you're projecting. You want me to feel some type of pain. But then a part of me, because it's like what you said, is kind of like, oh my God, am I insufficient? Like, do I not know? Like, you know, and I sat with it for about a couple hours, a few hours. I'm like, it struck a chord. It was straw on the camel's back. I kind of deflated. And then I was like, what do you know to be true?
Exactly.
Again, I know this person is projecting. I know I conducted the situation the best that I can. I know that I don't know everything, but in this specific situation, I wasn't trying to know everything or say that I know everything. And I'm going to learn from this regardless, like even though what they said is an insult, like either way, so that this never happens again, I'm about to go read up on some knowledge or do something so I'm like even more equipped for an outside attack. Because I don't like those. I don't get those often. And so I think I needed it to like toughen up a little bit, because if it happened on a higher level, it could have crumbled me. And I'm saying it's not even that extreme. Like, it was such a very minor thing, but since I don't get that often, it prepared me for any upcoming outside attack. And I really had to talk to myself. I had to go through those phases. What do I know to be true? How did I conduct myself in this situation? How will I handle something like this moving forward? You know? And so that's literally like, that was the most recent situation. It definitely was something like talking to me.
I think the same thing. I think that when something happens, it's like, even if it's not true, you feel the need to defend yourself and talk about who you are and what you would do in that situation, or that's not me. This is me. Like, like, and it takes, like, see me for who I am. Oh my God. Like,
and you've already seen for who you are, just that one little minor person that tried to stay.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And, that's where we get into the id and the ego thing. But it's always good when you can pull back and just understand where you want to respond from. Because the ego is always going to tell you to respond, about who you are, who I am. They got me fucked up, but the rational side of it is always going to tell you, no, this is who you are. You're going to be grounded, just like you said, and basically try to walk through that issue or that thing that's going on,
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that.
Thank you. Girl, I'm like, dang, like you really, it's like you said, ego. You gotta, once we shed ourselves of our ego, like a lot of things become easier, because it's just like, you have to prove, if you're waking up every day doing the best you can, showing up at your best, even on the days when you feel like, like you can't do it, are you still giving your best though? Even if it's not 10, like I'm feeling at a 3 today, but I'm gonna make sure at this 3, I'm gonna give as much as I can. Like I'm gonna hit a 10 for being at this 3. Today I'm feeling great. I'm at a 10, I'm gonna give 10. It's like when you're doing that, nothing can really like shake you.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel the exact same way. But yeah, that's really great ways to learn how to talk to yourself. How do you feel like you learned how to talk to yourself? Or like, is there somebody who taught you? I mean, that sounds weird, right? Like we learn how to speak from like family, right? But then how you talk to yourself is different.
So I would say, I always like to say, who I am today is obviously all of us is a combination or like I'm a pot, and I've been poured into by so many different people that, like, whether it's family, like my mother, I know I'm always going to have my mother's prayer. Like anything I do, I know I have her praise. Like even if she doesn't tell me every day, I know it to be true. And I know I have like my sister, I have friends, whatever. On the other end, I watch a lot of content that is created by people who are at a higher level than me, and that have accomplished internally more than me. And so I watch them. All my life I've been like this. I watch and listen to their content, and it's not just one person, it's a mixture of people, whether it's male, female, Black, white, whatever. And those are kind of like my mentors. Like the people that I watch, I just pull a little bit, because I don't agree with everything everyone says. Nothing is law at all, but I'm going to pull this piece. I'm going to pull this piece. I'm going to pull this. I'm going to put it inside me. I'm going to test it out as I like go throughout my day. And that's kind of how I've learned to like be who I am today, and how to talk to myself, by watching people that I'm inspired by. And even I've even watched people that and not say anyone's beneath me, but may not be at a level like spiritually that I'm at. They could be financially higher than me, but like spiritually, we're not aligned. And it's not this, we're just different. I watch those people too, because I like a well-rounded perspective on things.
Yeah.
I like to talk if I know, like, I'm not just sitting in this seat. There's 4 seats at this table that I'm at right now. I have an idea on this person's perspective, that person's perspective, and this person's perspective. I have mine. And when we're having a conversation, I am able to hear yours too, and like give to you what I want to say, knowing that potentially you may have this outlook on it. So I'm going to formulate it in a way that you can hear it without your blockers on.
Yeah.
So that's how I've learned to like talk to myself, by like listening to people talk, and also talking to others.
Yeah. I feel like that's really important, like developing other relationships. And it doesn't even have to just be friendships. It could honestly be with like a coworker. You have an opinion on something, they have a different opinion, but how are you going to respond back to their different opinion? Are you going to be closed off? Are you just going to say no because it's something different? And you don't really want to hear something. A lot of people don't realize that they don't want to hear other things. Like they don't realize.
I used to be that person because I spent so much time doing research, or like before I spoke about something with passion, I feel like I know it to be true because I sat with it. Like if I'm having a conversation about something and we're talking about it, like I'm not going to be just talking out of my ass. I generally don't talk out of my ass. I'm talking, I set specific time with this, and I see.
We know you're a Virgo.
You know? So I usually not want to be wrong. I'm like, I'm talking because I know. I'm going to shut up and listen if I don't know. So I'm like, I was talking, but I had to also learn. That's also ego, because like you feel so much pride in what you learn, and you want to, and so that's something that I'm learning to like reel back in on. Like even yesterday, I had a conversation. I had like a little debacle with a friend last night, and I had my opinion because I stated a word like this is, and we had a thing, and I'm like, okay, but this is why I said this, and this is, I'm saying in like black and white answer, like literally like the textbook like definition of it, and you see it way, but I took my emotions out, so it's like I learned how to through everyday conversations, but I also used to like wear that cape of like I'm right, you may be wrong, I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong, I'm gonna convince you to come on this side. Now I like literally some conversations like in my opinion, like I literally remember to say that in my opinion, because I don't think there's a right or wrong. Like I'm going further away from that concept of right or wrong, because I know there's so many different perspectives, and we're having the same conversation right now, but you're having a different experience in your head and I'm having a different experience, and some of the things you say, like it may hit a little different than how you intended to land, but it doesn't, it's like it's just knowing that, and it's just way easier to have conversations with others and then yourself, just knowing like nothing's law, nothing's right or wrong. It's just what I'm saying, what I feel, what I believe, what I research, what you say, and vice versa.
I feel like there's nothing wrong with asking for clarity, especially if you don't understand something. I feel like my first reaction has turned into it always wasn't this thing, but it turned into, what do you mean by that? Can you explain that to me? When you said this, did you mean this? Especially when it becomes like definitions of words. My partner I'm currently with, their first language is not English. So sometimes certain words that I say, I mean it in a slang way, and then they're Virgo, so they think everything is the definition, and I'm like, not what I meant. And I feel like I'm teaching them how to ask for clarity, because I taught myself to just ask people that for those things, because sometimes I would think that people meant something else versus, you're interpreting what somebody else is saying in your way, and they mean something their way. So just asking for clarity if you're confused, or even if somebody offended you. Somebody could be like, you ugly as hell. And I'll be like, what you mean by that?
That's a good one. That is a really good one. Because it also gives them time to like check their energy too. Like, hold on, is this where we're going?
Yeah. Honestly. Or like, it could be something very simple. Like, I didn't understand this. What do you mean by that? What didn't you understand? So I can help them come to a better conclusion. Because if I don't understand what you're trying to say, I can't help you. I can't have a response back. I can't keep the same energy because I don't know what energy you're on. I don't know what's going on. So asking that and asking for clarity, and then it translates into how you talk to yourself. Instead of being like, damn, I had a bad day. No, this thing happened and you just didn't enjoy something. It kept you in a mood. Defining what things mean and how you talk to yourself, and asking for clarity, even on your own feelings, I feel like is really important. Yeah.
Really self-check, like, why am I feeling like this? Like, I literally do that throughout the day. Like, okay, wait, why am I feeling like this right now? Do I really need to? Like,
most
like,
of the time it be because I'm hungry.
Okay, girl. Like, what is it? What's the root? I call it the root. Like, I'm like, what is the root? What is the root? Everything.
Yeah. Do you have any last minute things that you want to include, or do you have any place that you want people to follow you at, or know about any product or service?
I would say just every day, give yourself grace. Like, you're a human and you're not perfect. The people who raised you aren't perfect. The people you encounter throughout the day, they aren't perfect. We're all going through our own things, so have those outer body experiences more than not. So that you can see yourself and also see the world outside of just like your own mind. So I just like to be able to do that. Like, just be aware of everything around you, and know that each moment is temporary. It's going to get better, and it may also get a little more challenging. We never know. All we can do is go and flow and do the best that we can every single day.
Yeah. I
that's as far as get a pyro necessary. There's gloss covers and matte covers. They're available. The first place they're available in the physical form outside of like me was at Beauty Strike. So if you're in New York, you can find them there, the matte, and we get the gloss covers shortly. The gloss covers, just stay tuned for fall. Like, there's some things that I'm intending to, release as far as products. I have to, get to my board and make sure I prioritize my own things. I'll make it happen. But
I love that.
Goals for November and December to release some new things that you can add, to while you're reading a pyro necessary, or, just reminders. Something in physical form is coming soon. So stay tuned.
Can we get it?
E-commerce, more of it.
Okay.
But I appreciate you for thinking about me in regards to this conversation. You're definitely someone, like, we talk a lot, and even the writing down thing, like I told you, I'm doing it more and more, because we also had a conversation, and you were emphasizing how you were raised to set goals and write things down and stuff. So that put some fire under me. Like, I love that. And I see you as a very successful young woman. Like, you have look, if you're standing in front of your warehouse, you have a storefront. And you go. And I really appreciate you. And I love how you carry yourself and handle your business. And so I'm like, if Emani's doing it, let me add it to my list, because I want these type of things, in my own way. So keeping you are appreciated. You are loved.
Getting compliments makes me feel Thank you. I appreciate you having this conversation with me as well. That's amazing that you took that away from our last combo. Thank you. And thank you for saying it. That's something that I wouldn't even think that you've taken away from, the last conversation. So it's really good to, tell people that. Thank you.
That's why you have to go around, and you're supposed to give and take. So definitely. Like I said, you're valuable.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you. And it speaks volumes to who you are with the people that's around you, the things that they would do for you, and the way that people speak about you, just in general. It carries a lot of weight. It carries a lot of weight, and it shows you that you're doing the right thing. I hope that you continue and not be hard on yourself, and continue to try to prioritize yourself as well. Because I understand, especially just being women, I feel like it's just like we always prioritize ourselves last. Yeah. And maybe that's another conversation I want to have in the future. Yes. But yeah, it's definitely a thing, and continue to keep doing it and striving for it, and talking to yourself nicely when you come up short.
Yes. There you go.
I appreciate you. Thank you. And make sure you follow Quay on Instagram and Twitter if that's where you want to be.
ILLS, QUAYILLS, and also at a pyro necessary. We have that too.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you later.